of energy showing themselves. Some weeks are just more significant than others, but really this week is beyond a game changer. With the solar eclipse being a rare happening, it won't happen again for about, I think it's 20 to 30 years. It's also in Aries, which has a lot to do with a huge shift we've been feeling. Anytime Aries comes into play, it revolves change and just a new beginning, because Aries is the first zodiac in the order that they go. So the eclipse is only going to be visible in some scarcely inhabited islands and in some of Europe. I believe it's called the Faroe Islands. And the effects are really being felt around the globe, even though they can't be seen everywhere. An eclipse is an astronomical event that occurs when one object in the sky moves in the shadow of another. And the term is most often used to describe either a solar eclipse when the moon's shadow crosses the Earth's surface, which is what's happening this week, or a lunar eclipse when the moon moves into the shadow of the Earth. The spiritual research conducted by SSRF reveals that there's a very spiritual perspective in shift that happens when an eclipse occurs. It's one of the most detrimental celestial phenomenons, especially for those who are able to see it. The sun is really the light of our world, but when this anomaly happens, the moon's blocking out the sun's light, which gives rise to a high amount of possibly negative spiritual vibrations that are leaking through. It's really important to be able to block those at this time. The solar and lunar eclipses are also very significant events on a spiritual level, because when these happen, there's an increase of the Rahatama energy.
Rahatama.
Yeah. And it can have negative effects on humanity if we allow it to. It's something that ghosts or more dark energies, dark spirits like to take advantage of, because it's a heightened energy and it creates a variety of issues that can have a global negative just repercussions from it. So it's really important that you focus on kind of protecting yourself with regular spiritual practice. It's a really good time to put prayer in. Prayer's being super effective right now. It also ensures that we're isolating ourselves from the intangible and harmful effects just by appreciating the fact that we can protect ourselves in such a way from the negative energies. Negative energies from the spiritual dimension are coming out in full force at this time, because they're taking advantage of the increase of the negative vibrations that come from the darkness of the sun's light being blocked. So the fact that the whole environment, especially where the eclipse can be seen, is being changed, it's kind of like a spiritual pollution. But in the long run, it kind of sounds scary, but what it's doing is it's taking the darkness with it, because with the solar eclipse happening, as it shifts and goes away, it's also taking all those energies with it. They're almost learning from it and then going about their path. And due to the sun being obscured by the barrier in front during the eclipse, there are several spiritual impacts that are happening. The environment becomes a conduit for the negative energy to amass the black energy. Black energy is a type of spiritual energy that is the primary weapon for the negative spirits to come through, like I was saying. So they're kind of like feeding off of it. And it's the most conducive for the negative energies to utilize it right now. So they're going to try to attempt to harm things and to plant seeds. But the good thing about that is, at this point, there's a battle going on, which I'll get to in just a few moments, in some planets, and it's coming to an end. And the solar eclipse is kind of a symbolism of that shift happening. And you may be sensing a lot of bumps in the night as some of the darker stuff is being shaken about in this realm, and that's so it can be released with the eclipse. The upside about the solar eclipse is that, unlike natural disasters, we can see them coming, and we know about them well in advance, and you can take appropriate measures to protect yourselves against it. There's a number of things you can do to take precautions at this time, and on a physical and a spiritual level, just to protect yourself. And one is, if you're going to be able to see it, if you're in one of the parts of the world that are able to see it, just be very careful how you view it. Any energy that you absorb at that time is going to be very important to your upcoming just adventures and life in general, because it's very potent. But it's a great time to increase any prayer or intention grids you have set. It's a great time to charge and cleanse your stones in water or safely near lit candle that you can keep near your bedside, because a lot of the effects will happen in the astral realm and when you're sleeping in dream time. So a lot of people are having increased visions. Visions are really strong at this point, because with the veil being so thin, not only is that negative energy coming through, it's really important because Just basically the visions and the information from our guides and stuff is also easily accessible. And though they're having to struggle because the Raha Tama energy is kind of feeding off of it, they're still coming through just as strong to deliver messages that need to be received. Let's see here. To fight these attacks also, it's just really good to put yourself in like a protection light, and especially when it's dark. When you go to sleep on Thursday night into Friday night, just imagine yourself, I mean, being fine is normal. It's just in a spiritual sense, know that it's a new beginning. Along with all the energy happening there with the eclipse, the battle that I mentioned was the dances between Uranus and Pluto. They actually begun back in 2012. During this war, Pluto has been on the side more of financial transformations. A lot of families or people in general have been struggling with a financial transformation. There's also been a lot of political shuffling and other just geological breakdowns. Uranus is also giving us shocking proof that we need to turn in a new direction, which explains the mass amount of humans that have awoken to their divine purpose since 2012. That was really where that big shift was coming, was the battle between Pluto and Uranus. And the solar eclipse is really just, like I said, it's like a marker of that ending. Starting in this week into April, Uranus will start to move out of Pluto's range, which will then continue shifting all the way to 2046, which is quite some time away, which is, like I said, a whole new era for people. It's now time to pick up the pieces that the war between both of them have created. The eclipse has helped us mark that and given us that chance, and also is taking a lot of that dark energy with it. So while every new moon is technically a signal of a new beginning, generally of a 2-week period, this is really a signal to a new era, making a new start. A solar eclipse is just like a cosmic wild card that's really showing us that a shift is happening for a reason. And especially falling on such a significant time of the year, spring cleaning, it's really time to do that cleaning out of your life. That's why many people are doing not just normal spring cleaning, but an entire just out of the old and in with the new. And in general, the solar eclipse will also just be personally significant if it lands on or near your birthday. So many people that are having birthdays right now, it's just a huge year for you guys. It's going to be a big turning point. And the sun's also going into Aries, like I mentioned before. So that signals the start of spring or equinox. And equinox means that it's the first 2 days of the year when the apparent path of the sun crosses the equator, meaning that Friday, after the eclipse, there will also be nearly equal amounts of day and night. So it's the time to take advantage of this. It's a cosmic equilibrium, and it'll help start a new beginning with a sense of balance. So really just be balancing out your energies, and appreciation for life in general should be very high at this point. And it's the best time of year to plant seeds of the things you want to see growing in your future. So this week's really all about the timing and protection, and while being open to immense changes that are happening cosmically. And it's really important that we all shine through them with divine light and know that we're here to witness it all for a divine reason and purpose. So grab onto that purpose and allow the new paths to unfold before your eyes, and other spirits of light will embrace it with you as the dark energy converts its positive passing to the other side. And all the planets are just really shifting pretty fast. Mm-hmm. And I know it was a little longer, and I hope you all bared with me, but there's a lot happening this week. Big deal.
Yeah. Well, one thing that really jumped out to me when you're talking was that's the finale of a battle that started in 2012?
Yeah, between Pluto and Uranus. Everyone kind of laughs when people say the name Uranus, but it actually has a lot to do with our energy, because they're the one, like, that energy is what makes us want to have a positive shift, where Pluto, being as far away as it is really pulling our energy and pulling just that negativity out. So it's really important that war is coming to an end and a big shift right now.
So, yeah, a lot of people did have an awakening in 2012.
Yeah, for sure.
And so the fact that they did go through that spiritual awakening then, when this battle between these two planets started, now in like 2015 it's coming to an end, like the final battle between the two. And
quite a finale to have a solar eclipse as well, right?
Yeah.
As the shift is occurring.
yeah, I'm just curious as to how these people who began their awakenings in 2012, how this is like affecting that spirituality or that path that they started in 2012.
Yeah, I think that's why so many people that have went through the awakening are able to embrace the fact that there are such big shifts happening. Like some people will be like, "Oh, there's not a whole lot happening right now," but they haven't yet awoken, and there could be another shift in solar eclipse in their near future. However, what is happening right now is definitely affecting a lot of those who had that huge shift in 2012.
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. It's just when I read that it was a supermoon plus an eclipse, the equinox, just all these things that we always talk about. It's all happening and all that stuff, but we've never had a cosmic energy forecast that was this packed.
No, we really haven't, and I mean there's probably more I could have covered because literally like all the planets are shifting right now. And usually it seems like I always say that there's a lot happening and there might be one or two planets doing a shift, but right now everything is going into that new beginning mode and there's such a huge transition happening that literally across the board almost all the zodiacs are being affected, all of the different energy types, all the different species, whatever you want to call it, everything is being affected with such a huge transition period.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's why you were talking about praying is such an important time right now.
Yeah, because no matter really what higher power you believe in, they're all really accessible. I know that they're with us at all times to begin with, but with the veil being so thin, there's so many guides that are currently channeling through just like each other's friends, and I'm going to touch on that. I'm going to touch on that in the card reading because one of the cards that came up showed themselves, and it's really to be a better listener rather than to speak so much. And I find that funny because I'm always the person to interrupt people, and I don't mean to. I really don't. But it's so important to be listening to people because every person in your world right now is playing as a conduit for some sort of message. There's so many visions that are coming through and so many synchronistic happenings. Like we were out of water for almost 2 weeks, and I literally had a dream that it'd be fixed on a Tuesday. Guess what, guys? We got water back. But not only that, I even told Celia last night that if maybe we prayed together really hard that it would be fixed on this Tuesday. And one of the first gentlemen that came to fix the water, he instantly said, "If you pray about it, it'll work." And I said, "That's so funny. Last night I said we were going to pray about it." The gentleman actually started praying with me. Didn't matter if we were praying to separate entities, as long as that higher power energy and faith that it was going to happen was there, it pulled through. They thought they were going to have to give up, but we continued to pray through it and just have faith, hey, we're getting this fixed, and things are possible and things are being manifested, for sure.
Yeah. That's something I've been getting into recently too, is making sure that I end the day at least with a prayer, and hopefully, I would like to start getting into the habit of starting the day with a prayer. Even if it's just a 10-second prayer, or whatever. It's important. Yeah, and getting into a habit of doing positive things like that, it sort of puts us into autopilot to do the things that are good for us. So at first, if you're trying to start something that you want to do that you know will help you, it may be really hard at first, but after you get into that habit, it just becomes automatic, and you don't even realize that you're doing it. It's just like simple.
Yeah, and it even gets to a point like when you're humming or you're just like kind of spacing out, just make that intention to just put a little prayer out, even if it's just a thank you for being able to think about it and not have a worry on your brain for that moment. And I've really been trying to make that an intention that when I'm space cadetting, as I like to call it, and just kind of staring out and receiving messages from the divine, to actually thank all of the higher powers and all of the elementals and all of those things that come into play in our world, just to have that experience. Sometimes we forget about that.
Yeah. So I was thinking about doing the solar flare update and then bringing our guests on and then doing card reading near the end.
We're going with the flow on this one, guys.
All right.
Our version of flowetry.
Our version of flowetry. All right. Sorry. So I'm gonna start this solar flare update once I find which window I need.
It's gonna be an interesting weekend. I'm kind of excited for the energy. Definitely be putting your crystal grids up and taking some time to just embrace the shift and to know that there's new beginnings. A lot of people, we've been having a lot of rough weeks. I know that I'm not the only one. There's been a lot of rough experiences between this past new moon, and it's really going to be exciting. And I'm excited to see what the solar forecast has to say for all this happening too.
Yeah. Yeah. I would like to. I'm trying to get this going. I'm getting a little TD problem right now.
It happens.
But this solar flare is very exciting. So once I finish pausing all these videos that I accidentally had going, I'll get into it. All right. So this sunspot right here is 2297. I wish that thing would go away. 2297 right here on the right, sort of right center. We've had 72 solar flares since last Tuesday, including an X2 class solar flare on March 11th. X2 is a very extreme solar flare. So to have an X class this past week has been very, it sort of tells you that the sun is on a roll. It's had a lot of activity going on. Only five of these solar flares have come from a sunspot other than 2297. So like I said, 2297 is center right here, and that's what's causing most of the activity that we have going on right now. We did have a coronal mass ejection. It's what I call a CME. Some people on the podcast think I'm saying see me, but it's a coronal mass ejection. A coronal mass ejection contacted Earth's atmosphere at around 4:30 Universal Time, and that was earlier today, March 17th. This caused a geomagnetic storm. And this geomagnetic storm was class G4. It started off as a G1, but went to G4. And what this means is that it makes this geomagnetic storm the strongest storm of the current solar cycle. And you can see in the top right, the Earth is the green dot on the top right, and the sun is the yellow dot. And you can see these waves are passing through Earth. Those are caused by the solar flares, and they're basically like ions that are hitting Earth's atmosphere. It's part of what causes the auroras, and also it can cause blackouts. So we did get hit there. A light green, so nothing too serious, but something that will affect our planet. So solar wind was steady at 400 kilometers per second. However, the coronal mass ejection that hit Earth that I was talking about caused the wind speeds to rise to a little over 600 kilometers per second. And so expect this strong wind speed to last for the next 3 days into March 19th. The aurora forecast that we have for you, get that up there. All right. With the high solar wind speeds, there's a good chance for auroras to dip pretty far south. Recently, we did have the auroras go as far south as Wisconsin. So you can see there it really revs up, and this is when the solar wind gets to over 600 kilometers per second. So there is a good chance for auroras to dip even possibly touching Michigan. That's just that ends the aurora forecast, so it doesn't go past that date. But if it went further, you'd see it at least. Okay, so if you didn't hear the full solar flare, just a basic rundown. So we had 72 solar flares, one X-class solar flare, one coronal mass ejection that hit Earth's atmosphere, which caused a lot of technical problems in the world. Apparently our mic was one of them.
Aliens. It happens.
It does happen. Solar wind speeds went from 400 kilometers per second to 600 kilometers per second when that solar flare, or that coronal mass ejection, hit Earth, which is causing a lot of aurora borealis, and it's going pretty far south. So Greenland and Iceland, they both have a really good chance to see the aurora during the eclipse at the same time.
Same time.
At the same dang time.